It's the Roaring Success Radio Hour. 1 full hour of information, news, and commentary on the performing arts around the world and on your heart.
Got mail, baby, yeah.
I'm your host, Paul Neal Rohrer, with another live edition of the Roaring Success Radio Hour. I am feeling so good. Judy Marie's Miracles of Health is bringing me back. Debbie O'Loughlin in studio with me today.
Morning.
Anthony Musco on the phone lines with us today.
Morning, Anthony.
Hello.
Hey.
Morning, Debbie. How you doing?
I'm good.
How's life at home with the Prego? Oh, is that politically correct? I don't know.
Of course.
Okay, because
That's how I say it, right?
Yeah, we just.
Yeah.
So you're
That's
getting
a guy
close,
thing,
right? It's
Prego.
a guy thing. It's a guy thing.
It's a guy thing, yeah, exactly.
So any late night runs for ice cream, pickles, those kinds of things? What's going on?
No, nothing like that. Thank goodness. Watermelon's been her deal, which is okay. It's not a big deal. It's not expensive. I can actually get it, so that's fine.
So you have twins in the house already, right? Oh, that is so good. I am just not even being nice this morning.
That's fantastic. I love it.
It was too funny to pass up. I couldn't.
No, we're all good. Just some
When's-
indigestion last night, which we didn't know if it was a scare or just indigestion. So it's
wow.
Yeah, but I got a little trial run of being nervous, so
Yeah,
I'm ready.
huh?
I'm ready.
Cool.
Yeah.
We're talking any day now, right?
August 29th is what they say, but I'm thinking any day now. Yeah.
Well, you've got a little bit of time left.
Nikki, we love you.
Yeah.
We're behind you, and we will not be in front of you when the race begins. Believe me, we will let you get to go where you need to go and get there.
I don't know if I'm going to be there either, to be honest. I don't know. People tell me I shouldn't see it. People tell me I should see it. I don't know. Any viewpoints on that? Right?
It is the greatest experience of a lifetime. Do not
That's
miss
what I
it.
think.
Do not
Yeah.
miss it. Yep, it is
Okay.
it is the greatest thing to share with your beloved you will ever have. It is amazing.
Okay.
It is true.
Should I be in front of the curtain, behind the curtain?
Oh,
you know what I
gotta be
mean?
right there,
Even
man.
in the room, though.
You
But
gotta
right,
be right
I mean,
there with her holding your hand and swearing at
Okay.
you, and yeah, yeah. No,
right,
Barb was
all right.
really quite good. I started to put a cold compress on her forehead once, and she found it very soothing 1 second, and then the next second it was like she whipped it right at me. So that's the
Awesome.
way it is. It's great. It's a wonderful
That's
experience.
great.
It's really great.
can't wait. Fantastic. I'm ready. I'm ready.
I got to tell you, Anthony, you've been doing Judy Marie's with me for quite a while. We're both feeling so much better. And I'm telling you, I started looking on their website for more information about the green food and about the chelated minerals. Buddy, we both got to get on that, and we got to get Nikki on that following her birth, her delivery, I should say. It's not her birth. And the foods and the minerals, folks, I'm telling you, we hear this a lot on commercial radio. We hear it a lot on commercial television and everywhere. But I know this woman personally, and the way she put these products together has saved her life in many, many ways, and many of her clients' lives as well. And Debbie, you're a real naturalist. You work with herbs and oils and such, and you've read the ingredients, all natural, all amazing, and these products are just phenomenal. I want you to go to Judy Marie's Miracles of Health .com, and it's also .net. She's all over the place. Just type in Miracles of Health on your Google search, and you'll find their site and get their products. Amazing. Another supporter of our show is Lanny Garrett with the Lanny's Clock Tower Cabaret. Tonight, this very, very night at 8 p.m., Illegal Pete's Greater Than Social Club host Andrew Overdahl is doing some music and comedy down there. It's only $10, so show up at Lanny's tonight. $10. I mean, you're going to spend 3 or 4 times that on any other rundown garbage place that you're going to probably attend and eat undercooked food, overcooked food, horrible garbage that they somehow just spew out from these golden arches or whatever it might be. Folks, I got to tell you, you got to go to Lanny's and get some good food, good for you, good drinks, and great entertainment. $10.
Great atmosphere, too. A lot of fun. It's just kind
amazing.
of fun and kind of hip, to hang out down there.
It really is. Now, but Debbie, I got to tell you, I heard that there are some people, when we give away tickets, folks, treat your servers well.
Please tip.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know if enough people have ever been a server in their lifetime, but if you haven't been a server at a restaurant or someplace that you really have to serve the public, you know, you're being paid terrible wages and you really need an opportunity to put food on your own table. And the only way they do that, folks, is
by
tips.
Two of my kids are servers. One in New York City and one in Colorado Springs.
God bless them.
Yeah.
20% or more. Okay, don't be cheap. They treat you well.
Especially
treat
if
them well.
if you're going for free. Especially
right.
if you've got
and even if they're bringing you water.
Right. You know. So anyway, I just had to throw that in there. That's my own personal thing. I mean, you know, 20% or more. Come on, these people work hard for you. And if you don't like to tip, just don't go. Okay? How about Songs of Sam Cooke and Stevie Wonder starring Dee Thomas? He was on our program last week. What a wonderful, wonderful man. Great voice. That's Friday, August 9th at 8 p.m.
Love Sam Cooke.
Oh, yeah.
Love Sam Cooke's
that
music.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite.
Right? Mm-hmm. And, of course, Lanny Garrett performs every Saturday night. All of the songs from movies and television shows and da-da-da. Wizard of Oz, Breakfast at Tiffany's, Elvis, Fred Astaire films, Disney films.
Fun.
She does it all.
She's
She does
so
it all.
good.
Oh, she's so much fun. So get on down to Lanny's Clock Tower Cabaret, 16th and Arapahoe on the Denver Mall. Any one of these nights, tonight, tomorrow night, the next night, every night, they're always doing something at Lanny's, and if you haven't been there, you will love getting down there. We don't have any tickets to give away for that today, but we do have tickets to give away for this Saturday or Sunday at the Spark Theater. They're doing a wonderful live theatrical production called Suicides in Vegas. Let me just read this to you. This is kind of fun.
Suicides in
Yeah, this will explain it. Life's a bitch.
Definitely explains it.
What do you do when you want to end it all but not alone? A random internet search connects Lydia, a charismatic self-help guru, to Jane, a lonely toll booth collector. Doesn't that sound... Their final destination is Vegas. But surviving and dying are tricky in this dark comedy by Evan Placey. He is the winner of the Tarragon Theater RBC National Playwriting Competition. And it's coming for only 3 performances, a performance Saturday night, a performance, and 2 performances on Sunday, 4 p.m. Saturday, 4 p.m. Sunday, and 6 p.m. Sunday. So kind of strange times, not the normal
theater times,
right?
They are just a little bit off.
Kind of a little bit off. Mm-hmm. So, but the show seems to be a little bit off too, but an award-winning show. So it sounds really fantastic. I'm going to be there Saturday at 4 p.m., so I hope a lot of you will show up, introduce yourselves to me. I'm the guy with the bald head and the mustache. Very few men with mustaches and bald heads anymore these days. Spark Theater, 985 Santa Fe Drive, and that's 4 p.m. on Saturday, 4 p.m. on Sunday, and 6 p.m. on Sunday. And if you'd like a pair of tickets, give me a call during the show, and we'll get you a pair of tickets. We have our toll-free number back up. It is 888-321-7234. 321-7234. All right. Hope you give us a call, get those tickets, and we'll get you into the Spark Theater downtown. So what else, Anthony? What are we missing here? We don't have there's not a lot going on in Denver this week. There's not a lot going on in the world this week. Although we did lose, I understand we lost a solar company in Aurora. I don't know. GE let us go. I don't know what's going on. We lost the Hallmark thing. We're going to have to ask Donald about and find out about what's going on there. I know that they struggled with 3 different locations, and the mine tailings were polluting everything there, and so you couldn't build the little turn of the century city around the mining tailings that were coming out, and they were just busting it trying to find something else going on there. But we're gonna talk to our film commissioner about that, who I believe is calling in right now, and then we'll be able to go to Donald and figure all this out and see what's going on. Yeah, all right.
Great.
Donald Zuckerman, our film commissioner of Colorado, welcome to the Roaring Success Radio Hour.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Happy to be on again.
Thank you so much for always making time for us. And I know with all of the incredible amount of work you've been doing since you got back from vacation, that must have been a shocker, huh? Wow.
Well, you mean the Hallmark thing?
Yeah, the Hallmark thing.
Well, yeah, it wasn't really. I'd hate to call it a shocker because, first of all, it was something that was transpiring over a couple-week period.
Right.
Were they going to be here? Were they not going to be here? So we just didn't go public with it until it was finalized that they weren't coming. And the other thing is, it's kind of the nature of the business.
That's right.
That's right. People make changes and they do what they consider to be best for themselves.
Yeah.
And so we lost the show, but I must say that a year before we wouldn't even have had a seat at the table.
Isn't
they wouldn't have called us. They wouldn't have talked to us. And, we almost got it. Almost doesn't mean a whole lot. But
not at this point. But, hey, you know what? I'll tell you, anybody that knows you and the office you work with and all of the people that work so hard with you really do appreciate the fact that we even, as you say, were able to sit at the table and have the opportunity to bring it here. That's huge.
Well, thank you. So tomorrow at the Economic Development Commission, there's going to be a presentation for a golf show, a golf movie called The Squeeze. They say it's basically The Sting meets Tin Cup meets Caddyshack.
Oh, good. I was going to ask if it was comedy Caddyshack. Cool.
And they're very interested in coming here. They're a little concerned about our weather, and they're going to. If things go well tomorrow, they're going to come here and scout immediately.
Wow!
We're competing pretty much with Louisiana for the show, and but for the last couple of weeks they've been circling us, waiting to see what happened with Hallmark because we told them that Hallmark was shaky.
Yeah.
So. And when I say Hallmark itself isn't shaky. The show coming here was shaky.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cast any aspersions because
Hallmark
is just a licensee of the show. They weren't even the decision maker. The producers are the decision makers.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So and then we have a couple other things that are circling that are very close. And I think you may know that Fast and Furious 7 is going to be here in 5 weeks shooting.
Right.
For a couple of weeks out in the mountains, and we have ABC's Extreme Makeover Weight Loss Edition is shooting at the Anschutz Wellness Center. Currently, they're there, and a year from now, it's going to be on television all over America, but also all over the world.
Remarkable. So, here's the good part too, if I may make this clear and correct me if I'm wrong, but the incentives, unlike most other business incentives, are not paid out until after the producers shoot the product. So hence, the money still is in the coffers, still available, and this is why then we're able to attract other productions so quickly and so fully immediately following the drop-off of the Hallmark production. Is that correct?
Exactly right.
Great. And we hear that so often when other types of businesses come in town and they get the incentives for land, they get the tax incentives, they get all the infrastructure incentives, and, townships and counties and cities end up paying huge amounts of money in advance, hoping to attract them. And then if they don't come, the city has lost all that money. So any of you that's listening that are thinking, oh, we lost another couple of million and now we really hate the arts. It didn't happen, folks. We're still working. We're still bringing money into the state of Colorado in production, and one of the top producing financial businesses in the state as well as in the world.
I agree.
Wow. Donald, thank you so very much. That's our music for our break. Do you want to hang on, or do you need to get back to work?
I'm going to go back to work.
All right, sir.
But
thank you
thanks
so
for having
much.
me, and I'll talk to you in a month.
I look forward
Thanks,
to it.
Donald.
Thank
Goodbye.
you. Take
Bye,
care.
Donald.
Bye-bye.
All right, that was Donald Zuckerman, our film commissioner of Colorado, and we'll be talking more about the Hallmark production and all of the production that's happening here in Colorado following these very important messages. So hang on. Lots of wind, lots of rain, lots of nasty weather.
Lots and lots.
Wow, you think we'll get a golf show here? I don't know, man.
I don't know. I maybe
It's
last
kinda-
summer, but I don't know about this summer.
I know what's going on.
Well, you got oil spewing all over Louisiana, and you have rain spewing all over Colorado. What are you going to do?
I don't know.
You know.
Hey, and you know what? The mornings are fine. There may be a little bit overcast, but it really doesn't rain
Not
until
really.
the afternoon.
Yeah,
Sure.
we don't have
You know.
tornadoes until the afternoon.
Tornadoes.
When have
Is
we
that
ever
not
had
crazy?
tornadoes in Colorado?
Well, on the Eastern Plains, but
Oh, my gosh.
here,
Wow.
yeah, it's
It's
super
going to make
crazy.
golf a little crazy.
I think so.
Wow. So, Anthony, you been down to the southern coast at all? Get some of the, oily clam chowder and oily shrimp? And
I don't know. I was just in California.
it slides right down. Come on down for some
Exactly right.
all the gumbo.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, I'm thinking about all
I'd still eat it.
the toxin mercury from Japan and California.
Yeah,
you know,
right?
like I'm not wanting
True.
to eat the fish
Yeah.
in
Huh?
California because
I
of
know.
everything coming over from the
Yeah,
tsunami.
right?
We're getting hit from all sides.
With the nuclear plant over
Radi-
there.
radiated
yeah,
fish
the
from
radiated
Japan?
Fish from Japan.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, we have things washing up on the shores there, so we know that it's in the water. You know?
I guess you can go to the East Coast, but you got to watch out for the taxidermic needles and all that stuff. So that'll be the only.
Hey, they cleaned up the Jersey Shore really well. You're talking to a Jersey
That was good.
girl. Remember.
That was good. I know. That's why I had to throw that in there. I know.
Shame on you.
Wow.
I'd eat it either way. No problem. I love seafood. I miss it being landlocked here, so any kind of seafood is good with me. It's all good.
Well,
Maybe
Anthony,
even
we
toxic.
were supposed to have Lauren Grisham, who is our deputy film commissioner, on this week. And do you want to explain that to our listeners? Because I know a lot of you out there are following our website, and her name was up all week. And, a lot of us were really looking forward to talking to her. What happened there? Can you tell us?
Yeah, she emailed me this morning. She's so sweet, and she just said they're absolutely slammed over there. So.
They are.
Yeah, so Donald, was going to handle the update, and which is fantastic. But we definitely want to hear from her as well and introduce her to our community so that people can know what she's doing and what she's all about. And she's got a really interesting story. I'd rather let her tell it, but she did some work in New York and worked for a production company out there. And I just think it's interesting for everybody to kind of hear, what there is out there in the industry and how she made her way from there to here and now what she's doing to help us. But it's actually great to hear that they're slammed. So that's really good.
It is good. And to hear of so many projects that are on board, that are coming to Colorado, and we're all looking forward to participating with those. And, a lot of people have said to me as grips or electricians or DPs or, whatever level that you're involved in this industry at, that so often because they bring these productions from other locales, I should say, that they're not always involved. And yes, that's a point. However, it is bringing more business. It's kind of like, you bake a pie and everybody smells it, and everybody comes around and says, that smells good. And when the pie's gone, they have to bake more. So that's my pie analogy. That's
pie, huh?
Pie.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm craving pie all of a sudden. What's that about? I don't know.
I hope it's not pie in the sky.
Well, yeah, that pie did go to the sky. The Hallmark pie did go to the sky, but it does drop the golf story into our lives, and we're glad for that.
That's
and of
awesome.
course,
And the Fast and Furious 7.
Yeah, not a bad
Yeah,
deal
that's
there.
great.
A couple of weeks, they'll come in and use a lot of the car rental facilities and hotel facilities and food facilities, and drop a couple mil in our state. That's okay. That's all right. I'll let that happen.
People love that series.
Yes,
they're
they
crazy
do.
about it. I got a friend that's actually just nuts about it, so she's going to love to hear that news.
Very good.
Yeah. Yeah, and with them shooting in the mountains, it must be, I can't wait to see actually what kind of scene they come up with.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. Well, they've got to do the Pikes Peak race, right? They've got to,
I would think.
Yeah, they got to come down and do the Pikes Peak thing. So, here after 110 years, we're still shooting in Colorado. We've had some great films here. True Grit, Cat Ballou, How the West Was Won. Oh, one of my favorites, Sleeper, right? Woody Allen's Sleeper. And just
The Shining.
The Shining, Thelma and Louise. There have been so many films shot here in Colorado. Let's not forget Silver City.
Okay, now who's in Silver City, folks?
Yeah.
But, I got to say, here again, with Donald and Lauren being slammed and all the folks there in the Film Commission being slammed, we have had we have the claim to say that the state of Colorado had the very first Film Commission ever. They're celebrating their 44th year.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
I didn't
okay,
know
that's
that.
cool. Yeah, they're celebrating their 44th year. It was opened, the doors opened in July of 69. So there was never a film commission before 1960. Isn't that cool?
Did you know that I sat on the Colorado Springs Film Commission board?
You did? When did you do that?
I did. A long time ago.
A while ago.
During the 90s.
Yeah. Huh?
Well, no, in the early 2000s. And then,
you were a baby then.
Yeah, I know.
You were a baby.
But it was fun. I got to do some fun things,
Yeah.
The Japanese film company that came in that did the bungee jumping off the Royal Gorge Bridge. I was in charge of that.
I almost jumped off the bridge without a rope.
Without a rope,
Yeah,
huh?
I scared
so
the woman
glad
down
you
there.
didn't.
Well,
So glad you didn't do that. No, they were trying to get me to tandem jump.
yeah.
AJ Hackett, the ones that do all the movies, all the James Bond movies and stuff. They were the crew down there that was doing the jumping.
That would have been great.
I'm like, oh no. Oh, really? You would have done it.
I really would have. I absolutely would have. I think ever since I turned 50, however, it's like my nerves of steel turned into like nerves of pudding.
No. Well, it was very interesting because what they had to do is they spent 3 days before we actually shot jumping, just checking the wind velocity
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
the way the bridge moved,
Yeah.
and then the way everything. They took samples as they were jumping on for the wind. It was just really interesting. And they're like, "Hey, Deb, you want to tandem with us?" And I'm like, "Oh no!"
I love how they say it so casually.
Yeah. I would have strapped on one of those suits with the wings.
With the wings.
I would.
There you go.
I would have 10 years
Nice.
ago.
Squirrel dive.
I would have jumped right off that bridge and flown to the bottom.
Well,
I would have.
Here's the kick, though.
Yeah.
It was a Japanese company, all of comedians. And so what they did is they had done human bowling in Central Park in New York City, and then flew to Colorado to actually jump off the bridge. And what they did, there were 15 comedians, and the last day, they did straws. And so they didn't know which one was going to have to jump.
Wow.
But it was for this comedy show in Japan. I mean, they did all this crazy stuff before they had reality TV way before we did.
Okay, here's how it sounded.
Yeah.
So,
I'm jumping! I'm going to die!
do you want to know what? The guy that got picked
Yeah.
ended up jumping, and he closed his eyes and didn't see anything. So supposedly the whole experience is about you jumping, and then just visually it's supposed to be amazing.
Yeah.
And he closed his eyes all the way down. Had his eyes closed.
Huh.
whole
And they
way
had
down.
a wet cleanup on aisle 1.
What it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what they do, it's so weird because they have this winch and then they have to pull you back up. So you jump and you're hanging upside down, and then they have to pull you all the way back up. And they went about 250 feet just above the river. That was it.
That's pretty
how far.
close when you're going that far.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that's why I said,
Yeah.
no, thank you. Yes.
Oh, we were filming a project down there, and one of the elements was for me to I don't know, put my foot up on the rail or something like that. And so I jumped up on the rail, and the park woman just about freaked. She said, "You have no idea how quickly winds can come up. You would have been blown right off the bridge." It was like, oh. Oops.
Okay, whoops.
Won't do that again. Haven't done that again, and we almost lost that bridge in the fire here
No,
recently.
just
so.
a month and a half ago. So
Crazy.
it is. But that's
Well, let's get back to do we have Frankie on the line? Frankie Oatway from London, England.
Hey.
Hello, Paul. How are you? Anthony, is Anthony there as well with you, Paul? And you've got a guest, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
I am. What's up, Frankie?
Hello, Anthony. How are you, my son? How are you, Paul? You're the
I'm great, buddy. How you doing?
Do you know what? Who's the guest, Paul? Who's the lovely lady I can hear on the radio?
Can you see her beauty through her voice? Yeah,
Do you know
she
what,
is.
Paul? I can smell it from across the pond.
that's really sweet, Frankie.
right.
Thank you.
She is as beautiful as her voice, and she does smell very, very nice. Her name is Debbie O'Loughlin.
Hi, Frankie.
Hello, my darling. How are you, sweetheart?
I'm fine. I've heard so many good things about you. When are you coming over for a visit?
Do you know what? If I could get over there next week, I would do. It's just, honestly, being a film star and having a BAFTA nominee, I mean, it don't get much bigger, does it, to be honest.
There you go. Nice.
I'm thinking maybe we need to go to London. What do you think?
We are going to go to London.
You need to get over here. If you look like what you sound and what Paul says you smell like, I mean, you must come over here. Yeah,
Frankie,
booking that ticket now.
Yeah, we will be there. We were talking earlier, Frankie and I, about going meeting in London, and there are a few projects we're going to be talking about. But let's talk about your latest project, Frankie. It's going to be airing tonight globally, and I didn't look it up. Forgive me for that. But we are going to be watching Strippers, Cars for Cash, all over the world in its second season. And you star in that program, Strippers, Cars for Cash, where you tear apart you go to what do you call it, junkyards, and pick the pieces from very expensive automobiles and sell them for more than what they would normally be worth in kind of a competition arena. And we're going to hear about that program. If you'll hang on, Frankie, we're going to go away for a very quick break. And when we get back, we're going to hear about Frankie Oatway, the star of Strippers, Cars for Cash, and how he's making money stripping cars for cash. Hold on.
This is Frankie Oatway from Strippers Cars for Cash on natgeo.com. Getting down and getting dirty with the Roaring Success Radio Hour with Paul Neal Rohrer. So if you want a jockey who's cocky or a man with a plan, if you want to know where the bus goes, then choose Anthony Musco. Tune into Castle Rock Radio or sleep with one eye open.
Hi, you're listening to Castle Rock Radio, my favorite.
Oh, yeah. All right, we're back with
And
Frankie
rockin'.
Oatway and Debbie O'Loughlin live right here on Castle Rock Radio. Woo, what was that little kid on? Well, Cindy, what was that? That was like really weird. I was thinking, oh my gosh, we've got to sit through this while I'm waiting for Frankie. What?
Oh no, that was my niece. She did a little promo, and I promised her that I would play it.
Oh, okay. We love
So,
those.
I have to play with it a little more. It's cute.
Okay.
I just have to find
It
better
is
music
adorable.
or something.
Yeah,
It's
something
weird.
different. Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't
it's
know
kind
what
of the first
was.
thing that was in my grasp when I was making it, like 10 minutes ago, so I could play it for her, so I wouldn't get in trouble. So I apologize.
Back across the pond, we're with Frankie Oatway, star of Strippers, Cars for Cash. Okay, Frankie, this is the coolest thing ever. We have followed you from day one, and I'll never forget the announcement that you were able to make saying, I just landed a national job with Strippers, Cars for Cash. And we all laughed, and we went through this thing. And to follow you on Facebook and to follow the page for Strippers for Cars for Cash over there, it's by National Geographic. You are indeed a star. That is not understated. I mean, the UK just loves you, and now you're back for a second season. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, Series 2 tonight. Very nice intro, Paul. As usual, fantastic professional, as you are. Like Anthony and everyone else in America, I mean, we love it over here. You hear that American accent, I just want to say this, get this off my chest. You hear that American accent, and you know automatically you're very important.
Oh, that's great. Well, you are important.
Vice versa.
That is no understatement on this side of the pond. I have to say, I just love following your work. You have this sensibility that is natural. You use the old language. You get people laughing. You engage people. And yet when you want to stand up to them, who's going to stand up to Frankie Oatway? Forget about it. I mean, it's just like...
Literally.
It is funny.
Yeah.
Well,
awesome.
the show, as you mentioned, it launches tonight globally. It's sold to several continents now, so there's a lot of people now watching it worldwide. I mean, I recently went out to Peru to do another project for another TV idea, and I was astounded. I mean, it was, the intro that I had with a guy that was called Carlos, who was almost like my bodyguard, if you like, during the whole sort of tour.
I would hope so.
He looked after me. He couldn't speak a word of English, but what he was very good at was obviously that he was as strong as a bull, but he also was very good at sort of everywhere we went to, little remote villages, he was sort of saying, well, look, he's a guy here, he's on the TV, and and they watch it over there on cable, and I couldn't believe it. And they've got it in South America, but it was quite a moment. It was a lot of families quite enjoyed the company, and we had a lot of laughs. It was very, very interesting that it's travelled all across the world, But Series 2 is very much like for like Series 1, although it's different motors. It's also a lot more. It's a bit more upbeat. I think it starts a lot faster. I think it's going to be hilarious. We've got some great content. I've had a lot of fun on that series, and throughout, from start to finish, I mean, it was just hysterical. I mean, you come home and you really do know you've had a good day out, and it wasn't like it was work. I know it's a lot of mileage on the road.
Yeah.
The trips included Poland, so you can imagine me doing a deal in English in Polish, which it's not going to happen. So to communicate and buying a 911 Porsche in Poland was hysterical.
Wow.
Which it was almost like it was a group of doctors that were coming out and measuring up this car that I was trying to flog. And the same applied, even worse, in France, which you'll see another interesting episode which comes out next week, which is based on me going to France and buying an old Citroen that you may not have made.
Oh, I love the
Citroens.
Oh,
Get out.
Yeah, and it's the old make that you've probably got in New York and places like that, called the DS, which is like a bit of a very smart shape, had hydraulic suspension and so on. But anyway, when I was doing a deal, it was we all fell about laughing for many hours because it was in a typical remote French town, talking to French people who had the car and couldn't speak a word of English. So I thought, well, what's the most funniest thing I could do in this deal? Well, why not talk to them in Spanish rather than English? Why don't they speak Spanish? They're part of Europe. It's not my fault. It's their fault, So you could imagine nothing got resolved. You can imagine. So we went round in circles for hours. There was these Alsatian dogs. You've never seen teeth like it in your life. They were barking and jumping up and down. They filmed every bit of it, and I was terrified throughout. I thought the old man, he was loving me. He was a lovely old guy. I thought he was going to take his false teeth out and wrap them around my ear hole a couple of times. But great stuff on the new series.
Frankie, all you had to do was just ball up your fists and kind of, look threatening at them. Everybody would just kind of go, yes, whatever you want. That would do the deal, I would think.
Well, exactly. It created a whole new layer. The beauty of me on the show, of what I enjoy most of all, is that it's almost like as I get up in the morning to go on set, it's almost just literally whatever words come out of my mouth they seem to use, and it is very good like that. And they obviously cut whatever they want out of that, and it's going to have a big impact. And I think they mean business with this new series now because it's very international,
That is phenomenal. Now, it shows in the UK probably very soon, right? Because it's about 5:30, 5:40 your time. So what time does it start to air this evening in the UK?
Well, the launch tonight is a massive launch. It's been all the national newspapers over here, so they've launched it really well. Like National Geographic do with everything, they do a fantastic job of promoting stuff. And it's out in 2.5 hours. It's on air now, so everyone's phoning and stuff to sort of wish me good luck. And great show. I enjoyed it. Whether I want to do Series 3, I'm not 100% certain. I've got other options now. I've got something else which I can and can't talk about. So, I mean, I know you being a film star yourself, Paul, I know you can appreciate that.
Well, now you have to be on billboards around the countryside, right? You're on billboards?
Well, it's been noticed in various train stations and other places, and it's been a couple in shopping centres and so on and so forth. But it's now also on the international flights as well as part of their entertainment on a lot of the transatlantic flights and stuff. And also, a lot of the intros I do, which they class as snap-ons for National Geographic, as you can imagine, they throw a lot of weight behind this stuff. I'm doing a lot of intro for the international market. One in particular, which was the French deal that I just discussed. They used it for all the networks around the world, the deal I'd done with the French couple, and they said that the network head-on shows were falling across the table. So they've used that as a promo for the show to show off.
Great.
So, you must see that episode.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh my god!
But it has gone down well. It's gone down well in America, Paul, because what's happened is, I know the other continents have bought into it now.
Yeah.
In America, they've been streaming it online, and the comments are just fantastic. I mean, you know what YouTube's like, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You get the comments from the person that's sitting in his corner in his closet somewhere with a shoebox on his head. Never had a television, and never turned the television on. Probably spoke 3 words with a dummy in his mouth. And the next thing that comes out of his mouth, who is that fat bald bloke? And what is he saying? And why is he saying it? You know, it's just funny. I mean, and the funny thing is, Paul, is that you know what, in this game, you get all sorts of abuse, and I love a bit of abuse. And you know why I love a bit of abuse? Because it shows you're doing something right.
Yeah,
and I think on the polarising character side, there's no point in being someone that everyone's going to fall asleep with. You can imagine there's 3 experts on this show, and I'm not one of them. and you've got these three experts are all mechanically minded. So can you imagine when they're letting me loose on these cars, the petrol heads are just screaming at me. And I love it because I know every time I do a take, I'm doing it deliberately to appease my audience.
Frankie, they train people for lifetimes to do what you do naturally. That's why you do it, and that's why you are so popular. Too many people want to get on television just to be seen by the camera and really not relate to the viewer. Whereas what you're doing is you understand the viewer's attention span, you understand the viewer's desire to be entertained, and how then you do entertain them. That's why you are popular. It's no big surprise. And yes, of course, you are the professional. And I just love speaking with you because it is. You are a true entertainer at birth. I mean, it's just hysterical. I really want to find out more about your trip to Peru, and I want to find out more about what happened down in those jungly tendrils that will stay in those jungly tendrils. I imagine it was sort of like Monty Python meets, the garden, if you will.
You can say that twice, Paul. That's the understatement of the year. I mean, I'll tell you what, Paul. Do you know what? I rode a motorbike. Now there's 19 stone. I don't know what that is in pounds.
That's right. How'd that go?
Pound. That's like 220 odd pounds, isn't it? Is that right, Anthony?
Wow.
220 odd pounds trying to get on a motorbike, which is like, it's not going to happen. And I've done it. And do you know what? When the guy said to me, Frankie, now what you're going to do? This is an adventure. And I said, really? He said, yeah, you're going to go across. I'm standing there now thinking, I should have turned left when I came out of the airport instead of turning right. Instead of getting on that motorbike, I should have jumped straight back in the cab and got back to London. Because I ended up on this motorbike, Paul. And you know what? My bones are still shaking.
Get out.
Okay, Frankie, I had a shop teacher in like 1969. This shop teacher was a big man with no hair as well. And he was one of these kind of guys, if you asked for the wrong drill bit, he would pull your arm through the cage, where all of the equipment was stored, and bite your arm until you asked for the right thing. This was in the day before, whatever. But, oh, my God, I still have teeth marks on my arm from that day. But he reminded me so much of you in the sense that when I saw you on that little tiny motorbike, it was exactly like this shop teacher who was on a little mini bike. He was a 220-pound man on a tiny little mini bike. And I said, that's Frankie Oatway! Oh, my gosh. We're speaking with Frankie Oatway, star of Strippers, Cars for Cash. Frankie, I hope you'll hang on. We have to go to our last break, but when we come back, we're going to hear about the man in the Peruvian jungle. Yep, that's right. Monty Python meets the snake. We'll be right back. It's live time here on Roaring Success Radio Hour, and we're streaming across the pond speaking with Frankie Oatway, the star of Strippers, Cars for Cash, opening its 2nd season tonight in just a couple of hours there throughout the UK and around the world. Look for Strippers, Cars for Cash on a National Geographic television program coming to your local television station tonight. All right, welcome back. Frankie.
Hello, Paul.
Well, that was mellow. Hello, Paul.
Yeah, Paul,
Yeah.
you know what? The intros you do are just fantastic. You know,
thank you.
You could hold an audience. You know, you ain't got to do. I don't think you need any guests on that show. Do you? The way you talk.
I
That was just
I am
fantastic.
so blessed. I have just had. I'll tell you who. Last week, Frankie, I spoke with some guys from Worker Studio here in Denver, and I'm going to step out on a limb, and I'm going to say they are the next Pixar. These guys are absolutely phenomenal. Michael and Barry, if you're listening in today, I got the T-shirt. I was wearing the T-shirt all day yesterday, and I was going to wear it in today, but you know, after wearing a T-shirt for one day, you really don't.
Not really. I don't think so.
That's not.
No.
Yeah. So Debbie would have not come in. She would have said, "No, I'm not going to sit by you today." But before we went to break, I was asking you a little bit more about your trip to Peru and what that was all about. You're developing another independent program that you're collecting footage throughout South America and all of these wild, dangerous places. I'm really glad you had a bodyguard. I would hate to see you come back in pieces. You know, that would not be good.
Paul, it was an adventure. I mean, it's the understatement of the year. I mean, I'm not scared of much. Like yourself, you're pretty open-minded. When you go to South America and any of these places, you've got to go with an open mind, right?
Right, exactly.
And
right.
And the Spanish, I speak a little bit of broken Spanish. For what it's worth, if you can mix that up and imagine it's a bit of a mixture between Cockney and Spanish, you can see where I'm coming from.
Oh, wow.
And it went down. That was all I can describe. It was like a spaceman in outer space that lost his communication. But
Major Tom. Okay.
But nevertheless, I kept winding up in these little villages that are remote because I went from the furthest point east to the furthest point west. So I'd done 2,000 miles on a motorbike.
Wow.
And I went across the Andes, down to the Amazon, across to the desert, and then right out to the coast in the Pacific. But basically, some of these remote villages in the Andes, I mean, it was quite terrifying to me because, you know, I'm not as nimble as what people think. So I wound up in this little village that I'm told 3 or 4 years before, and the only way to access it was through donkey. So when I got there with the bodyguard, Carlos, we're sitting there about 9 o'clock at night. It's pitch black. And, we've ordered some food. Now, what came out, it was still moving on the plate, so that was quite an eye-opener. And then when... I had a couple of swift...
I could see Frankie just chasing down his dinner. Come back here! I'm going to eat you now! Okay.
So I said, excuse me, Carlos, I've got to go to the toilet, you know, because I had to have an emergency sort of display in the toilet. So I was sitting there, I was trying to attempt to get in the toilet first of all, and there was someone in it. So eventually they came out. And this toilet is the only thing I can describe. It was like a prison. It was like a prison, like a landing on a prison where you knew that if you went to the wrong end of the prison, you was going to be in a lot of trouble. So I'm attempting to creep out into the toilet at about 9 o'clock at night, quite worried, quite scared, and sweating because I thought I was going to release something, bodily fluid. So I attempted to go through the door, and in the middle of the room, there's a big petrol, I don't know if you know, you get them over there, gas cans, the big ones that they cut the lids off.
Right.
And it's full of oil normally, or gasoline. And it was sitting in the middle of this room, and I'm sitting down, and there's no lock on the door. It's glass or broken wire. And I could feel someone trying to nudge the door open, and I thought, oh, you know, it's only someone trying. So I'm going, excuse me, you know, in the best Spanish accent I could give. And there was no turning back. And whatever came through that door, you never believe it was a donkey. It was a donkey that then accompanied me while I was going through the process of my, and I could not get him. You can imagine a 40-stone donkey trying to remove him. While you're on the toilet, you've got no chance. And that, I'll tell you what, Paul, it was hysterical. No one could believe it. And it stood there and watched me go through the motion.
That's awesome. What an image.
I wish I had breath to speak.
So there you go.
So you
One of many stories.
That's a really ass story. I mean that would never mind. Okay. Wow.
But great.
Frankie,
But the event.
you have to have this in a book. There has to be an illustrated book by Frankie Oatway and the Adventures of Peru. It just has to happen.
Well, they filmed this, right?
Oh my word!
It's been filmed, Anthony, and the funny thing is, a lot of these things, these ideas I've put on the table now, some are being looked at favourably by one or two networks over here. Absolutely. And I've got a manager now who really is fantastic, and Richard Wolf, who's really looking. I'm the only client, and it's fantastic because we get on so well. You know, one of those people, like a politician, you never vote for him unless you're willing to go down the pub and have a few pints, Paul.
That's
right.
That's right.
And anyway, he's been in my corner. So the idea was for me to do this trip to Peru with the help of a lovely guy called David Groves, who organised everything through his company, Adventure Peru Motorcycles. David laid it all on for me, so I went over, we shot it all, and we got it in the can, and we're in the process now of just editing it now as we speak, and it's hilarious. And as you just quite rightly said, it's never wasted, this stuff, and also it's not a typical, it could be a travel log. There's relationships between me and the Amazonian Indians eventually and going up the Amazon. But I think the beauty of it is it's not a typical word-perfect travel log. It's almost like, where am I? What town is this called? Sorry, how do you pronounce that? It's hilarious. You're winding up in villages that have got, if you like, guinea pig on the menu, which is a luxury out there. And I mean, we look at those over here, and I don't know about America, but we look at those as our little delicate pets for our young children. And yet, over there, they're on the menu, you know. So it's quite funny, you know. Great adventure.
We had 2 or 3 of them as kids, and I never want to see another one. But you know, every time I smell cedar, I think of guinea pigs. Now, you know, there's nothing else that comes across my mind. Wow,
it sounds like Andre the Giant visits pygmies or something. You know,
oh, true. Oh my gosh,
fantastic! I mean, whoever thought of this is brilliant. Let me tell you.
God.
It is, honestly, Anthony. When you see the footage, and I don't know if you've seen any online or on Facebook.
I wish I had. You know, I was on Facebook for the first time in about a month this morning. It's been kind of wacky here.
So where do we find that? On your Facebook page, Frankie?
It's on my personal Facebook page under Frankie Oatway Anthony, but it's also online. But I think that it's not been completely edited. These are just rough clips. But it's now, again, I think now with some of the networks I'm working for now as we speak, it's a new one starts next week. It's now big stuff. And I think that, you know, the profile goes up. And obviously any content that I've got up my sleeve, I think it'll be looked on favourably. And there's 2 or 3 of those on the table now. So it's all good stuff, you know, fantastic for me. And I'm in a great industry, and I think that the adventure's only just started. I'm 52 on the 17th, so
that's great.
You know, any wine you can send over, any American wine or anything like that, Paul, I'll be more than grateful.
You bet, Frankie. We're going to get that over to you, and I'm going to bring it personally. I kid you not. I'm going to get over there really, really soon, and I can't wait to share more stories. And Frankie, we're going to have you back to share more stories, but unfortunately, we're at the top of our hour. And will you keep us updated on that? As it is edited and as it comes together, we're going to promote the heck out of it here on Castle Rock Radio, and we are certainly going to continue to promote Strippers Cars for Cash, now in its 2nd season, on your television set this very evening. So look up National Geographic's Strippers Cars for Cash, starring Frankie Oatway. Frankie, thank you so much for once again calling all across the pond and letting us speak with
Bye.
you. Yeah.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Debbie. Thanks, Paul. And like always, Castle Rock Radio, you are the boss, and you own the airwaves, Paul. No doubt about it.
I love you, Frankie. Be well, my friend. Talk to you soon.
God bless you.
Later, Frankie.
God bless you, boys. Take care now. Take care.
God bless you.
Bye. Bye, darling. Bye, darling.
Next week's guest, Doc Ryan Vashon, will be on with us next week, a filmmaker and a wizard of all kinds of creations. So come back and see us next week. Debbie, thank you so much for spending an hour with me. It's always wonderful to have you sitting here.
I love it.
We'll see you next week. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Debbie.